Welcome to Silent Symptoms, a Black mental health podcast. I am your host, Katasso Fridge, a Florida-based therapist. This podcast focuses on mental health, stigmas, and social injustices that affect the Black community. This podcast was created to bring awareness about mental health and can be used as an educational guide, but this is not to be used as a replacement for seeking help from a therapist. I hope you enjoy the podcast. Hi, welcome to Silent Symptoms, a Black mental health podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about gaslighting. What is gaslighting, you may ask? So gaslighting is when someone tries to manipulate your thought process to make you feel like you're quote unquote crazy, that situations that you recall are not true, or they try to switch the narrative to fit their own so that you could seem like the bad guy. We've all been through gaslighting. So gaslighting typically happens from people who have narcissistic personality disorder and also people who suffer from antisocial personality disorder. So that is your sociopath and your psychopath. So they try to control you psychologically. Typically, people who are narcissistic and have antisocial personality disorders do not, try to control you physically. There's a possibility, but what they're trying to get into is your brain. They're not interested in trying to control everything else because they don't want to be seen as the bad guy. So when you think about somebody that's narcissistic, they make you feel like you're the bad person. You're the one that caused the situation. Nobody else caused the situation except you. They're never in the wrong. And they have this thought process. They want to have this look of perfection. And they don't want to be viewed as the person that is causing somebody else some psychological abuse. Gaslighting is psychological abuse. I want you guys to understand this. Gaslighting actually came from a movie back in the day. And, the term kind of stuck around. So when you look up gaslighting in the DSM-5, you're not going to find it, but you're definitely going to find it on Google. So if you're not familiar with what gaslighting is, look it up so you can familiarize yourself with it. A lot of people who have been through a form of abuse, whether it's emotional, sexual, or, physical abuse, they have experienced some type of gaslighting. So when somebody gaslights you, they try to control the narrative. For instance, if you and someone get into an argument, they yell at you, they raise their voice, they call you names, they say all these terrible things about you, and you just let it go. And then the next day you come about and you bring it up and you tell them about how much you didn't appreciate that and it probably hurt your feelings. They'll be like, what? That didn't happen. I didn't yell at you. Or if I did yell at you, it's because you're the one that caused me to yell at you. The story didn't go like that. You're not telling the story right. Those things are gaslighting. Or when somebody hurts you, they typically are interested in still upkeeping the image of the good guy. Okay? When I say guy, it's exclusively to men and women. Because, parents can also be narcissistic and have antisocial personality disorder, and they could gaslight too. So family members can gaslight. It doesn't have to be somebody that you're attracted to. It could be anyone. The thing is, a lot of people get gaslighted on a daily basis, by somebody who is not a great partner or is not a great person to have in their life. A person that wants to gaslight you or is intending to gaslight you or has been gaslighting you, they typically aren't interested in the physical part. They're interested in the psychological part. Because if you can control someone psychologically, you'll pretty much have them when you need them. That's just the truth and the reality of the situation. Like when somebody is in a situation where they're being controlled and they feel like, how did I not see this coming? Or how long did I stay in this bad relationship? Or why didn't I cut ties with my friend, my parent, when they made me feel less than and never made me feel validated? And they're always switching the story. And sometimes I feel like I have lapsed in memory because they said that situation didn't happen when in fact it did happen. You're being gaslighted and abused. We are living in an era where people don't see abuse for what abuse is. People feel like abuse is when somebody, physically harms you, sexually harms you. It's okay when somebody curses you out and say, oh, well, I don't know what you're talking about. That's just how we talk to each other. I mean, you've talked to me like that before. It's not really me that's doing that. You started it. That is a form of gaslighting. We have to understand that we are worth more than that. Okay? Gaslighting is not okay. The narrative that the abuser tries to use on you is that everything that you're doing, number one, is not right and they're right. When you think about all of the relationships that you had that weren't so good, where you felt like you can do anything, you couldn't talk to your friends, you couldn't say something. For instance, if you're talking to your friends and you're telling a story, and your partner or your friend interjects, that's not how it is. And then you're telling your story and you're from, that's not how it is. That's not how it happened. You're not right. You can't even get your thought process out because they're like, well, you really don't like to remember things, or you don't remember things right. This is how it happened. That's a form of gaslighting. Most people don't think that it's a form of gaslighting. That is gaslighting, when you cannot get out your thoughts because somebody else wants to tell your story for you. Or they make you feel like you don't have the proper story. You don't deserve to tell the story properly. They don't say these things to you. It just happens. I want you to really reflect on the worst relationship that you have ever had. Simmer on that. Think about if you experience any type of physical abuse, or if you experience any type of emotional, psychological abuse. That situation was never black and white. It was never black and white. Think about all the times your feelings were not taken into account. You were made to feel like what you're saying or you're asking or you're talking about is impossible or it's not the right thing. I want you to understand that you need to take these steps when you're feeling like you're gaslighted. Number one, stand in your truth. If the situation happened, it happened. Don't try to sway your story because somebody says that's what it is. Number two, you need to come to an understanding of what kind of relationship you're looking for with that person. Number three, don't hope for any change for somebody that has been showing you that they won't change. Whether it's a parent, a friend, a sibling, a cousin, a family member, it doesn't matter. An employer. There are different ways that people experience gaslighting. And number four, always seek therapy, and always confide in your family and friends as much as you can. Share how you feel. Share when you feel unsafe. Share the situations that are happening in your life. I'm not saying that they need to be your therapist. That's not what I'm saying. Like, be open. Don't try to keep everything inside of you, because sometimes we think that people should know how we feel. Not everybody knows how we feel. So we have to come to an understanding that if we don't share those intimate feelings or those intimate experiences that we're having in our life, and we're experiencing things that we don't necessarily understand, or don't like, you need to talk to your family and friends about it. Don't tear them down, or don't put them down and bring them down with all the things that you're going through. That's why we have a therapist. But share, be fluid, so they know that you're safe, they know that you're okay, or know what you're going through, so they could give you a proper direction. Like, go see a therapist. Maybe you shouldn't be with this person, but ultimately the choice is yours. Okay? So let me know if you've ever experienced gaslighting. I know that you guys listen to my podcast a lot. But go ahead and follow me on YouTube so you guys can see my face. I do this for y'all. See my face and leave me some comments. I know I get emails from you guys, and I appreciate them so much. Thank you so much for showing me love. And, you know, when I would go absent, you guys will message me, send me inspiration about how well you guys are doing, how much you love the podcast. So go ahead and follow me at Silent Symptoms Podcast, and that is on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. I hope you enjoy the podcast. Have a great day, people.
Thank you for tuning in. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our podcast. You can catch us on Anchor and all your favorite media streams. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Silent Symptoms Podcast. Let us know if you have any feedback or topics that you would like to hear.